There's a community 5K next spring. Do you want to run in it? Tina asked one sunny fall day at church. I don't think I can even run a mile, replied my sister April. That one conversation I overheard sparked my interest. Right there and then, I decided that someday I was going to run a 5K without stopping or resting. All through early autumn, I ran. On my first run, I ran a 7-minute 53 second for the mile. On my third run, I ran a mile without stopping. A few weeks later, I ran a sub 7-minute mile. My friend ran a 5K, but he had to stop and rest once. I, on the other hand, was determined to run a 5K. All this training helped me physically, but this could never mentally prepare me for what was to come. It was a hot day, not super hot, but bearable hot. I was warming up, stretching, squatting, skipping, trying to get my legs worked up. Today was the day I would run a 5K. Today, I would run 3.2 miles without stopping. Today would be the first of only 2 days in my life that I ran 5,000 meters. For the past 4 weeks, I had been training my stamina. Some days I would run a mile, some days I would run a mile and a half, but never over 2 miles. Ladies and gentlemen, here comes our leader. He crosses the finish line with a time of 11 minutes and 45 seconds. That's a new world record, folks. I jolted out of my daydream, slapped my timer on the mailbox, and turned my mind to running the longest race of my life. The first half mile of my route was familiar ground. It practically flew by on the wings of a 3-legged donkey. The next mile took me up on an overpass over US 8090 and into Michigan, exactly 1.5 miles from my house. As I reached the halfway mark, my mind was screaming, "Yay!" My lungs were inhaling oxygen at an abnormally fast rate. My legs were in the final stages of seceding from the body. That was the farthest distance I had ever run, and now I had to do it again. As I turned around, I almost gave in to the temptation to walk. Then a very interesting thing happened. As I turned, I could almost feel myself get lighter. Since I knew I was more than halfway done, I felt like I could do it. The second after I started feeling good, I started feeling bad. Really bad. Any runner can tell you the hardest quarter of a race is the third quarter, and that was the part of the race I had just begun. My knees started knocking. My legs literally started a civil war. I was doing all I could to not walk. The next 7 minutes of my life were pure agony. The last formidable blockade I had to pass was the bridge, and I was dreading it.
This is the Big Bad Bridge!
I had already crossed the bridge once on my way out, but this was different. First of all, I wasn't sweating like a hippo, and my legs hadn't started their own sovereign nation. As I passed the 2-mile marker, the song I Wonder As I Wonder started playing in my headphones. This song was special because it was one of the few songs that I could run with the beat. As I approached the bridge, I put my head down and I ran with the song. First there was a
Steep incline!
Then a
Stretched out incline!
followed by
Flat stretch!
and then a gradual decline. You could almost rest while running downhill. Almost being the key word here, because you can't rest while running. My knees were knocking, my chest hurt, my face was burning, and my headphones were dripping with sweat. Unfortunately, I still had 3/4 of a mile left. Right there, as I was running off the overpass, I heard pain scream,
Stop!
Surprisingly, I did. The funny thing was, my legs were not tired. I had run the farthest I had ever run in my life, but my legs were not tired. Why? Well, first of all, they weren't mine anymore. And secondly, I was running at 6 miles an hour, which is baby pace. Somehow, I kept running. As I topped the little hill that marks the last half mile, I thought to myself, I'd already done 5 of these. I can easily do another. Many times I've pushed myself to run a faster mile in this very stretch of road, but today was different. Today I wasn't racing home from running a mile. Today I was racing home from running 3 miles. As I approached the last quarter mile. Again, an overpowering urge to walk raced through my body. So, I did the reasonable thing. I nixed that thought. I passed the mailbox that marked the last quarter mile. I gave it my usual nod, and I started sprinting home. I felt like I was sprinting, but in reality, I was probably doing a fast jog. I ran past Joel's driveway, and then boom, I finished. I ran by the mailbox, and I breathed like never before. I was so glad I had done it, even though I might never do it again. The timer said I had run it in 32 minutes and 34 seconds. I had run a 5K 2.6 times slower than the world record. But to me, it felt like I had done something earth-shattering. One of the best feelings I had was thinking that I would never do it again. It takes speed to be a great sprinter, but distance running? That takes big brains. It takes a crazy amount of mental energy to stop yourself from stopping. As I lay on the grass breathing, I thought of all I had done. I thought of all the time building up to the final mile, and all the time I could have stopped, but didn't. And because of that day, all the rest of my life, I can say, I ran a 5K without stopping.